If you can look over my shoulder, you will see that that thing up there has changed yet again. Bit of a long drawn out story, this one. For those of you that haven't been following along with our solar program here at Ben's Garage, I can't remember what year we started it now, 2021 I believe. Anyway, we started with a Growatt inverter, guaranteed for 2 years, blah blah blah. When I bought it, it said it was 10-year guarantee, but then that changed. Anyway, if you want to know all the ins and outs, there's videos in the playlist that goes on about that. Anyway, the Growatt packed up and it hadn't even been running for 2 years. So there was a bit of a drama with that, backwards and forwards with emails. Then they decided it was their responsibility. They was going to send me a new motherboard. In the meantime, we bought this one, the PowMr. Now, the Growatt was €850. This PowMr, slightly more power output. The Growatt's 5 kilowatts, this is 5.6. That was only €370. Anyway, put that on the wall, got it up and running while we was waiting for parts for the Growatt. That lasted 8 months. Anyway, in that 8 months, I'd managed to get the Growatt fixed. We got the Growatt back on the wall. So PowMr, they sent me a new motherboard, so I took it all apart, fitted a new motherboard to it. So the Growatt with the second, with a new motherboard inside it, that lasted for 10 months, and it went kaput again. Same fault, fault 08, something to do with bus voltage, I believe. So that happened the night before we was going away on our holiday to Spain. Obviously we was leaving the Hobbit back at home. I was going with my dad and my brother. So I quickly disconnected it all off and I put the house back on the grid so that Tina didn't have to worry about it while we was away. So that was that. Got home, the PowMr was ready to go with the new motherboard in it, so I put that back on the wall, got it all up and running. Now I've had a few comments from people saying that these inverters, the cheap Chinese inverters, do not like charging the batteries from the grid. Set it to solar only. So this PowMr, I've got it now set to solar only. There is still a grid feed going into it, and you will hear it making a row over my shoulder. The sun's gone in now, it's all cloudy, and we have had a bit today. The grid bypasses through the inverter, but the way it does it, I'm assuming that the fans come in, because although there's a little bit of power, you see that green light flashing, that's charging the batteries. If it was set to the other way, it wouldn't be putting any power into the batteries. Yeah, because we've got the hot water on. So at the moment it's grid bypass. That runs through the inverter, but it's not charging the batteries. So somebody did say, and they did explain it, and I can't remember what it was. You probably do a Google search and find out. Something to do with the MPPT charger. Obviously you've got your solar input and you've got your grid input, and you can have it set. Anyway, when we first set up our solar system and I went for this Growatt, it was advertised as a hybrid inverter where you can connect it to the mains and it will charge and this, that and the other. This one was marketed exactly the same, hybrid inverter, where you can have your solar panels, you can connect it up to a generator, you can connect it up to the grid, and it will use all those sources for charging your batteries or powering the load on your house. Since then, since we've had all these issues, I've noticed that both the Growatt and all these PowMr ones are no longer marketed as hybrid inverters. They are now called off-grid inverters. I'm just assuming that as solar has got popular, because energy prices have gone up, people have been buying all these cheap Chinese inverters and they've been letting people down. And there's been warranty claims, this, that and the other. So now they're obviously marketing them as an off-grid inverter. So yeah, I've got this set to charge from solar only. So when the batteries get to a certain voltage, it will switch to grid, and it should grid bypass, which it has done, and it seems to be working quite well. Fingers crossed. The Growatt that packed up the day before we was going on holiday. They won't send any more parts out for that, even though, you know, when I bought it, it's a 10-year warranty. And when it went wrong, the company that I bought it from, Allo Solar, they said, well, the shop warranty's run out, but it's still covered under manufacturer's warranty. Now, not according to Growatt, it wasn't. They've cut that off now. It's 2 years and that's it. I'm, like I've said, a lot of people was buying those Growatts that we had, and I believe that they was all going wrong. People sending them back or getting them fixed, and so they've now dropped the guarantee down to 2 years, which I think is a legal thing that you've got to do if you're selling anything in the EU. But anyway, that's besides the point. This PowMr seems to be doing quite well. Touch wood. Also, this inverter is a hell of a lot more efficient than the Growatt. At idle, the Growatt is pulling 70 to 75 watts all the time out of the batteries. It doesn't, from what I can work out on our system, how I've got it set up, it may be for everybody else that's got a Growatt as well, even when there's solar coming in, it still pulls that 75 watts out of the batteries, which I think is bizarre. This PowMr, if it gets a power source from elsewhere, the batteries go to sleep, all the lights go off. These Pylon Tech batteries, you can't see them, but anyway, if you've watched our videos, you know we've got the Pylon Techs. We've got 3 of them down there, just over 11 kilowatts of storage. We're only a small house. There's only 2 of us and 2 dogs. We're not a power-hungry house. So this thing, when it's idle, is about 8 to 10 watts, which is a massive difference, especially overnight. When we only had the 2 batteries, overnight, that made a huge difference. If that inverter's constantly pulling 75 watts out of your battery, you think, it's 75 watts, that's not a lot, is it? But give it a few hours overnight, that does pull your battery down. So yeah, a lot more efficient. Seems to be working well. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I've noticed that they don't do these ones anymore, but they are sort of, and the prices did go up a little bit. We bought it on a special offer at about €370, and I noticed that as soon as after I bought this one, it went up over €400, which is still cheap. But anyway, so I've got some numbers on a bit of paper here. I can't work out what's what with what inverter, so I've just done some totals. We've got basically the total kilowatt hours generated with the Growatt and the total kilowatt hours generated with this one. So in total, with both inverters, since we've had a solar system, we have generated 12,178.6 kilowatt hours of electric. Now, at today's prices, which I'll get onto in a minute, that has saved us €3,044.65. So when it comes to prices of electric, they're crafty, EDF, very, very crafty. When I can only go back so far, I can only go back to 2022 on the EDF app for our bills. Every month you get a bill, and every month there is a standing charge on it, an abonnement they call it in France. In 2022 that was €17. Now I think when we started it was at €15 a month. So if you didn't use any electric, you still had to pay €15. That obviously pays for all works, this, that and the other. So in 2022, was as far as I can go back, it was €17 a month, and the unit price for electric was 20 cents. So every kilowatt hour of electric that you use from EDF was 20 cents. That was in 2022. In today, 2025, the abonnement has gone up to €23 a month. So that's gone from starting in 21 to from 15. That's now 23 a month. But the unit price of electric has gone down. That is at 19 cents a unit now. But in between the 2022 and 25, it has reached up, and I think it got to a peak of 26 cents a unit. So obviously they've put the abonnements up and they've dropped the unit price down a little bit. So they're obviously still making more money. Whether people are just being more efficient with the electric that you're using, because the prices have gone up, or a lot more people have gone to solar to help their the burden of energy costs. So EDF have thought, hang on a minute, let's reduce the price of the units so people use more electric, but we'll put the abonnement up. So it's a win-win for them, you know. So that's it. That's today's little solar video. Oh, we've not done a solar video for a long time. Yeah, so we've done just nearly 12,200 kilowatts of electric stored in the batteries, and well, we've used it basically. Obviously, we have imported from EDF as well on rainy days, but now with our batteries and this inverter, if we get the battery's got 6 lights on it, and it generally starts. It's set to go off at 47.3 volts, I believe. It's a 48 volt system. So at 47.3 volts, it will then jump onto grid, and it'll stay on the grid until the batteries are charged all the way back up to 53 volts, I think. 53 point something. I've lost my train of thought now. But yeah. So while we're not charging a lot, we are on grid, so we'll be obviously importing power from EDF, which is not a big deal. And before we had it so that EDF was charging the batteries up, but now with the inverter being so efficient, I'll say, you know, we can go to bed with the batteries down on 2 lights, which is almost at the point where it would go to grid, and that will go through the night. Obviously, things that run through the night, fridges, freezers. If we've got the log burner on, the electric pump for the heating, those are the 3 things. You've got stuff on standby, which is very little. But yeah, it sees us through the night, and we sort of wake up in the morning and it's like 1 light, and it's like still not gone to grid. Apart from this morning, it did go to grid. I looked at the app on the phone first thing in the morning, and I see a little line squiggling across the screen from the grid. It showed it going into the battery, but I don't think it was. But yeah, that's our little update. So we've set this to charge from solar only, so that noise is just grid bypass because Tina's put the hot water tank on. But well, we've got a few days of rain. We have had a few days of rain. We had a nice sunny morning this morning, and the batteries have started getting charged up. Of course, they'll go idle now until the sun's back out again, but we'll still be on grid bypass. I'll just have a quick look because the green light is still flashing. That's still 400 watts coming in, and but it's cloudy. There's no sun out there at all, and we're flashing on 4 lights. So it says the batteries are at 50.4 volts. It seems pretty good. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. Don't really want to keep buying inverters every time they break down, because that's not really the idea of trying to be self-sufficient with your electric if you've got to keep replacing inverters every couple of years or 18 months. And I know we could have gone for more expensive with a, you know, but at the time the Growatt advert said 10-year warranty. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that in this video because I've done plenty of other videos with that. But now that, you know, they say, oh no, we can't help you anymore, it's out of warranty. You was provided with a motherboard out of warranty, which, you know, I'll argue that one till the bloody cows come home. I think that's the saying, isn't it? Anyway, they wanted 350 euros for the parts, which is the motherboard and some other piece. So before, they just sent the motherboard and everything came on it. They said, oh, you'll need this bit as well, and it's 350 euros. It's like 350 euros is another new inverter with a 2-year guarantee on it, almost. So that one's gone up in the garage. I've no idea how to test any parts on it. If I could find out something that's failed on it, I could maybe resolder it, you know, solder it off, put a new piece in. But is it really worth it? Anyway, that's enough. We're finished with ranting. Bit of info for you. And we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.